Well, good
what
morning.
protein shakes do to your body.
Ooh,
It's
what
a
did I do?
protein
I
drink.
did
You've got
stop sharing.
almond butter. Almonds have a peel that's electric.
But you didn't stop.
I didn't stop the video, okay. You didn't tell me that part.
Combination of
I only had step 2.
And you've got.
Yeah, I guess I
Sort of-
didn't hear
oh,
that.
good.
Okay.
Cinnamon, bring it on.
Okay. Well, thank you. I guess I didn't do it.
You were.
I was so proud of myself. All I had to do was hit stop
Well,
share.
if it was the only song on there, then it would have.
It would have worked.
Yeah.
And you were
Okay, well,
50%.
you know how that commercial works, 50%. You know, we don't want to be 50%. But anyway,
And now you're 100.
with a little help from my friends. Well, good morning again. Thank you all for being here. Boy, now we're now awake. For such a little thing, that has a lot of power. Reba dropped her phone and it just made this loud sound, and it just, one of the young ladies at work, she dropped her phone on her foot and broke it.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, anyway, something so small can be so powerful.
Well,
Anyway, that's not what I'm talking about today. So, we just heard the song Over the Rainbow. And that was, and you know it's from the movie, The Wizard of Oz. That, of course, was not from The Wizard of Oz, that rendition. That was Patti LaBelle. And the woman can sing the song. If you are interested, there are many versions online where she is just, I mean, the song goes on for like 6-7 minutes because it's all that. But anyway, the song is about hope. It's a song about soaring. It's about being and rising above. It's about going beyond where you are in this moment. It's about looking up. It's about staying with the vision that things are going to be even better than what they are right now. So no matter where you find yourself in your life, things are going to be better. You just have to keep your eyes up. When you think about a rainbow, we usually see a rainbow after it has what? Rained, hence rainbow. And typically when it rains, you know, it might not be the happiest time for people, you know, because you get wet. You know, it's not all that great feeling. But some people love being in the rain. But when you think about when you see a rainbow, what's that feeling? It's like, oh, it's the happiness that Reverend Michael talked about. It just brings a smile to your face. At least it does for me. And if you've ever seen a double rainbow, I've never seen a triple, but I can, okay.
Almost 4.
Oh, it's all, ooh, okay. I'm looking forward to that. And so when we think about being over the rainbow, it's a good thing, right? When you think about, like in the Irish, they talk about the leprechaun and the pot of gold at the other side, and you know, at the end of the rainbow. So let us live in that place. Reverend Michael talked about being happy versus pleasure. Now, I know pleasure pretty good, but to be in a state of happiness, oh my. And we can be in that place. We can be in that place of unlimited happiness. We can be in that place of looking up if we so choose to. We've talked about it over and over again that we already have everything that we need and want. It's already here. Even if we haven't experienced it, it's here. And you can just be in the joyful anticipation of receiving it. That's enough to be happy about. But yet, some of us forget. I know I forget. I was in a real forgetful mode last week. And it's time to look another way, to be another way. What are some of those things? What is that thing that keeps us from looking up? What keeps us from being in the happiness of it all? We can say it's our beliefs, because our beliefs are where we kind of live from. We can say it's our perception of what's going on. When you think about it, when we think about perception, someone steps on your foot. You're upset. How dare you step on my foot? And then you realize that the person's blind. Your foot has still been stepped on, but your perception of it has shifted. At least I hope it has. If it hasn't, we got some other talking we need to do. But for the most part, for most people, it shifts. And there's this compassion. Oh my gosh. So nothing changed other than your perception. So we can do that. We can shift our perceptions at any given moment. It is up to us. Reverend Michael has on his email, it's an inside job. That's what this is. This is an inside job. You looking up, living in that place of over the rainbow is an inside job. So, in looking at being over the rainbow, there's some areas, some places in our lives that we need to take a closer look at. And we're going to do that right here and right now. Now, as we go on this journey, I want you to think about these words and think about where you are. And this will all make sense once I tell you what they are. And think about how you can maybe massage it into something different if it's not working for you right here and right now. So, the words I want to look at are attitude, outlook, willingness, perseverance, persistence, resilience, courage, tenacity, and this is not just one word, keen inner listening. Now, if you missed any of them, you will hear them again. Okay, so the first word, and you know, I like to look up words, right? So I'm going to give you some definitions of what these words mean. You might have your own definition, and if that works for you, that's fine. Do what works for you. So the first one is attitude. What's attitude? This is a real question. Okay, I will tell you. It's a manner, a disposition, a feeling. Okay? We've heard people say, oh, you know, he has a bad attitude. You know, that's a bad disposition, or she has a wonderful attitude. And we know we can kind of go in different places depending on the situation. So I want you to think about what your attitude is about some things. Think about something that might not be working in your life or some circumstances. What's your attitude about that? Now remember, it's all about perception. Your attitude is formed from your perception, so, and it vice versa as well. So, if you got a funky, stinky, funky I'm gonna say funky twice because it's really funky.
Really?
What are some ways that we can improve our attitude?
Let it
There are-
go.
Let it go, yes. First of all, take responsibility for your attitude. Okay? If it's funky, it's funky. It's funky because of what? It's funky because you chose for it to be funky. It's not because of what somebody else said or did. It was because you decided, I'm going to have a funky attitude. Another thing to improve your attitude is to evaluate what your present attitude is. Because if you don't know what it is, how can you shift it? And part of that is being present. Being present to where you are. I remember I taught a class at my design school, and I remember I didn't really want to teach this class. And I had a funky attitude, I have to say. And it reflected in the evaluations that the students gave me because they now picked up on the funkiness and that I didn't really want to be teaching this class. When it was called to my attention, because I thought I was being cool, that I wasn't being funky, I'm like, ooh, I need to shift that. And so I did. My boss then said in our little conference, I had never seen anybody turn around so quickly. Because when the evaluations came out again, it had shifted. Students weren't complaining. What changed? I changed. So evaluate where your present attitude is. The third thing is, and Reverend Michael talked about it in his reading, we talk about it all the time, Science of Mind is built on it, it's change your thoughts. Funky thoughts create funky attitude. Joyful, happy thoughts create a happy attitude. What is it? What does I like to say? There has to be a pony in here somewhere. Because it's like, that's a change in attitude, a change in perception. The next one is outlook. What's outlook mean?
What are you expecting?
What are you expecting? It's your mental attitude or your view. How are you viewing things? Are you viewing things as, oh, woe is me? I like to say that, oh, wowsy, wowsy, whoa, whoa, oh. The state of the economy. Oh, yeah. We have a bad economic outlook. Oh, tomorrow, work is going to be bad today. I didn't sleep well last night, so it's not going to be a good day. Or, hey, it's great, life is good. I'm looking up, I'm excited about it. Yeah, my friend over here is getting married this week. Yeah, it's like, what's your outlook? What is your mental attitude? What's your view? Think about your outlook. What's your outlook? What was it this morning when you woke up? What did you expect this day to be? I know I look at the weather because I got to decide what I'm going to wear. Is it going to be weather appropriate? Am I going to freeze to death? Am I going to be too hot? And I'm thankful that the weather didn't look at what the Weather Channel said. Because the sun's not supposed to be out right now. It's supposed to be overcast and cloudy.
And cool.
And cool.
It isn't tropical, but
No, it's not tropical because we don't live in the tropics. However, our outlook can be whatever we want it to be. So some ways of having and improving a good outlook, Number one, I know no one in this room has ever done it. No one out in Zoom land has ever done this. Stop complaining.
Oh,
Stop complaining.
No whining.
Yeah, because the whining comes from the complaining. And although you think you feel good because you're whiny, ultimately it doesn't feel good.
Right.
And what does it do but make you feel worse? I know I came in here this morning talking about the governor of Louisiana, and my blood was just boiling. And finally, Reverend Michael's like, okay, let's calm down, let's calm down. My outlook of the state of Louisiana wasn't looking too good. But we can shift things. Not just within our minds, but we can shift the world. If we get enough people thinking and having a good outlook, what does it do but shift? I know when they had a people meditated on peace, I think it was in New York, and when they got together, I think it was like 400 people came together and they meditated on peace. Crime went down in New York City as a result. So when you think that you're powerless, know that you are powerful. Okay? Remember this. So another way of improving your outlook is to practice thought stopping. Now, what is that?
yes.
That is stopping a thought from going on. Because you know how some of us, one little thing happens, we think a thought, we go down this road, and before we know it, we have built condos and high rises all in it. And we are deep in it. We're deep in the misery. And what is that saying? Misery loves company. And so what you want to do, you invite more people to be miserable with you so that you can be more miserable. And that you can be right. How many of us love being right? Yeah. And there's that saying, do you want to be right or do you want to be happy? Because sometimes you just got to let people do what they got to do. So you can be happy. Say what they have to say, even if you don't agree with it. You don't have to share every single time you don't agree with something. You don't. That goes back to the stop complaining piece. So practice stop stopping. I like the Bob Newhart that Reverend Vaughn shared with us. Stop it. That's what you can say to your thoughts. When something's coming up that it's like, ooh, that is funky, stinky. Stop it. Just stop it. Another way to improve your outlook is to end the yes, but kind of attitude. It's a beautiful day, but it might get cloudy. Okay, so what did I just do? I just slapped, backhanded this, it's a beautiful day. It can still be a beautiful day if it's cloudy. Beauty is in the mind of whom? The beholder. Another way to improve your outlook is to beware of the self-fulfilling prophecy. We all know what self-fulfilling prophecy is, right? It's like saying something's going to be and then working and doing everything you possibly can to make it that way. And then you can tell people, see, I told you that was going to happen. So stop doing that. Just stop it. I think if you just make that your mantra, stop it, we could probably be a lot happier. So where is your outlook? Think about your outlook on things. Where is it right now? Is it, I wish he'd stop talking? oh, it's going, you know, things are wonderful, everything's going to work out, this too shall pass. Yes, she will eventually stop talking. What is your outlook? The next one was willingness. What does willingness mean? Anybody? Somebody?
Being willing,
Being
willing,
yes.
willing. I mean,
Yes.
Capacity to say yes.
Yes.
oh,
Yes. It is both of those. The dictionary.com said it's consent or readiness to do something.
right. Oh,
We often say in this philosophy, are you willing to be willing? So it's like you don't even have to do it. Just are you willing to be willing? Are you willing to just go there? To entertain it? We talk about trust the process. So are you willing? So some ways of being willing, of practicing willingness, is to clarify your values. What are your values? We talk a lot about values. We've had talks about values. What are your values? Do you know what they are? If you don't know how willing you can be in certain situations. Another is to be open to new experiences and ideas. Really being open. When you think about how things have been created, I mean, all of us, I'm assuming, came into some vehicle here. No one walked. And if you did, you had shoes on, I'm assuming. Because as I look around the room, everyone has some kind of shoes on. There was an openness by someone that created the shoes, the automobile. When you think about how automobiles have evolved over time, because didn't they have to be cranked at some point?
yes.
Okay, thank God we don't have to crank anymore. Just think about how things have progressed because someone was willing to go that extra mile. Someone was willing to explore something that they haven't done before. When I think about Star Trek, what do they say?
Boldly go.
Boldly go where no man has gone before. Okay? How willing are you to do something different? Maybe take a different route home. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to create the cure for cancer. Maybe it's just wearing a different color and not my traditional black. Willing, be willing to be willing. Another way to practice willingness is to practice mindfulness. And what mindfulness does is it promotes focus, it reduces stress, and fosters a proactive mindset. And one way of being mindful is meditation. We do that at the beginning of service. There are other ways of being out in nature. I know my sister girl Annette likes to go out and put her feet, bare feet on the ground to ground herself. And so, when you're in that place of mindfulness, what are you? You're in the present moment. You're right here present. And in this present moment, everything is perfect. Everything is perfect. The next two I'm going to put together, it's perseverance and persistence. Because they're kind of the same thing. What does perseverance mean?
Push through.
Push through, yes.
Keep trying.
Keep trying, yes. And the way they described it in the dictionary.com was steady persistence in a course of action, which is why I put persistence with it because they kind of go together. And persistence is described as to continue steadfastly. So when we think about perseverance and persistence, I think about Thomas Edison and the light bulb. Thank you, Thomas. Because without it, well, I'm sure someone else would have invented the light bulb. But I think about him oftentimes about over and over again, how many times, 1,000, over 1,000. And at any point, he could have said no. How many times have you tried something? What's your threshold? 2, 3 times? And you give up? Can you imagine doing something over 1,000 times?
No.
And can you imagine how happy he was when it worked?
A light bulb went on. And
Your light bulb went on, yeah. He's like, yes, we got it. So what's some ways to persevere, to be persistent, is don't be afraid to fail. We talked about this before. I know Phyllis taught her children that. Because you're going to fail. There's nothing wrong with failure. Remember perception. Perception. It's not a failure, it's just a way of not doing something. Another way, and I love this one, I love this. Be 1% better every day.
Oh.
Just 1%. Oh my goodness. Think about what happens after 30 days, after 90 days, after 100 days. Go to bed better than you were when you woke up.
Yeah.
1%, that's all I'm asking. 1%. Another way is to take risks. Some of us like to be in our little safety bubble. And there's nothing wrong with it, but it's kind of boring. And you're not real happy in the bubble. You think you're happy. I remember, and I think I shared this with you before, but when I worked in California, I worked in this suburb, San Ramon. And Mark and Annette know about San Ramon. And it was a very bedroom community. And I had this woman that worked for me. And she had this hairstyle that I think was really popular in the 50s. And this was not in the 50s when this was happening. And she, what's that?
Bouffon?
I think it was kind of, but it was a flip. And I love a flip. But it was real poofy.
Yeah.
It was a real poofy flip. And she carried her handbag everywhere. Even if she was going like 3 feet away from the desk, she would carry her handbag.
Oh.
And I remember I had another temp, and the other temp and I were talking about doing some cleansing and meditating and all that. And this woman, Miss Bouffon, said, "You're making this up." Yes, she did. And I'm just like,
What?
no, it shocked me. But she was in her own little world in San Ramon, in her house, where meditation and cleansing was not a thing. And nor would it be a thing. Another way to become more persistent and persevere is to know yourself. Take a look at yourself. Are you one, and this is one of my things, to procrastinate? Do you know this about yourself? Because without this awareness, you can't change it, you can't shift it. So you need to be aware, know yourself, but know both sides of yourself. Know those things you love about yourself, and those things that, I think you can use a little tweaking. and embrace and uplift those things that you love about yourself, and you can shift the things that you can tweak. Remember, what we're talking about is what? Living in the rainbow, over the rainbow, right here, right now. It doesn't have to be a far off thought. Remember, we're talking about right here and right now, what we can do. The next one is resilience. What's resilience?
Rubber.
Rubber? Yeah, rubber is resilient. That is not necessarily the definition of resilience.
Being able to recover.
Yeah, being able to recover.
Bounce back?
To bounce back, yes. And it's exactly what the definition said, the ability to adjust or recover. How resilient are you? So, when something bad happens, do you hang out in the badness of it all?
For a while.
Or do you rise above it? Do you replay it in your head over and over and over and over and over and over and over again? You know I'm not the only one. Until it's so bad that it's just like, oh, I'm depressed now. So how do we become more resilient? One is to practice acceptance. In doing that, it's like, yeah, I messed up. Okay, so what am I going to do about it? It's about being in the solution mode and not being in the messed up. Because remember, what we focus on grows, right? So if you focus on where you messed up, what happens?
Mess.
You get to mess up some more. And isn't that exciting?
No.
Not for me, it isn't.
No.
But if you focus on, oh, okay, this is a learning opportunity. I know not to do that again. I can do this instead. That's being resilient, bouncing back. Another is to reframe negative to a more positive. So when you look at it, that's the term, there must be a pony in here somewhere, because, we all know the first part of that. So with all that, there has to be something good. Even if it's microscopic, I'm going to find it. So think about those things in your life, conditions we talked about in our affirmation, situations in your life that kind of smell like poop, they're kind of stinky. How can you reframe that and get some good out of it? Something good. I will think of something good about, I thought about the governor of Louisiana. There's something good about that. Is I don't live in Louisiana, I live in Washington. That is something good.
Yes, amen.
Okay? The last piece of it is to practice self-care. Because if you're tired, things seem to be bigger. I know when I'm tired, something really little, I can blow up into something really big. Someone says something to me and it's like, oh my God. And all they did was say hi. And I just fall apart. Practice self-care. So what's our next one? Courage. I love courage. What's courage?
Lack of fear.
No, actually.
Overcoming of fear.
Overcoming a fear, yes. Because you can still feel the fear
Just go through it.
and just go through it.
That's courage.
That's courage. So, dictionary.com says the quality of mind that enables a person to face difficulty, danger, pain without fear, but I would argue that in spite of the fear.
Yeah.
Okay? So what are some ways of being courageous, of maintaining courage? One is to maintain a healthy perspective. So remember we talked about perspective. We can have a healthy perspective. We can have an unhealthy perspective. If we maintain a healthy perspective, we can look at fear as just something that I can overcome. It's not here for the long term. I am not a fan of getting shots or needles, period, unless I'm sewing with them. But any of them being poked into my body, even a sewing needle, I'm not a fan of. But when I go in for my blood draw, which I have to do every 3 months when I go see my nephrologist, it's like, okay, let me muster up my courage to go here and hope I get a phlebotomist that doesn't hurt me.
Amen.
You know, that's my outlook. It's going to feel, and it's just going to be for a moment. And it is. It's just a moment of pain. And I can also look at, well, Stephanie, you went and got how many piercings? Okay, so the needles must not be too bad because you did that by choice. So courage, maintaining a healthy perspective. Another way to be courageous is to identify your strengths. Because knowing your strengths helps you to be more confident. And then when you're more confident, you're more courageous. And then as you're more courageous, you become more confident. And you see how it keeps on going? To when you keep going to the phlebotomist, yeah, I got this. I haven't gotten to that point yet. But I keep going. So identify your strengths. And the last one is to practice leaving your comfort zone. How many of us like our little comfort zone? You know, we like eating certain foods. We like going a certain way home. We like doing certain things. We like being around certain people because we're comfortable, even though they may be toxic people.
Oh, true.
It's just I know them. I know what to expect. It's not going to be different. Yeah, they might be awful to me, but at least I know, you know, this person, and I know that they're going to be awful, so I'm okay. No. Let's step out of our comfort zone. What's one thing that you can do today to get you out of your comfort zone? I want everyone to think of at least one thing that you can do today to get you out of your comfort zone. And we all have them. It may not be in every area of our life, but we definitely have them. Think of one. And then you're going to do that today. Okay, everybody have their one? Okay, great. We only got a few more to go. Tenacity. What's tenacity? Oh, I love this. This is like being in school. There's a vocabulary.
Yeah.
This is English
It's
class.
like persistence. It's hanging on.
Sticking with it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yes. Holding fast is how dictionary.com, but exactly what you said. So how do we become more tenacious? Understand why you want what you want. When the reason's strong enough, it's going to allow you to persevere. If you want it because your neighbor has it, I don't necessarily think that's a strong enough reason. If you want it because your mother told you to do it, that's not a strong enough reason. But if it brings fire, if you get the excitement, that's going to help you maintain it. And I know you talked about pleasure, but if it brings you pleasure, there's nothing wrong with pleasure. That's not what Reverend Michael was saying. It's not happiness necessarily. Then let's move forward. So understand why you want what you want. Another is, and I love this one, and I implore everyone to do this. Visualize your goal daily. Visualize whatever it is you want daily. Not weekly, not monthly, not just as a passing thought, but daily. How good does that feel? Oh my God. That book's already out on the New York bestseller list. And the person knows who I'm talking to. Being that loving presence whenever you go to work. That person also knows who I'm talking to. We can visualize this. And we know that when you visualize it, it's just as good as it being done. And that's why if you visualize something that you don't want to have happen, it happens. Yesterday I thought about, because I've been having really good luck with my car, and the thought was, and it wasn't really visual, but it was a thought, oh, yeah, it's been great. My car hasn't, no lights or anything. I get in my car this morning and there's a light. But my perspective was, you know what? I'll just call tomorrow and make an appointment. It's not the end of the world. And I'm going to know, my outlook is that it's going to be a cheap thing. That's my outlook. The last one I want to talk about is keen inner listening. Now, listening, what does listening mean?
Just stop yakking.
Stop yakking, yes.
Being receptive to whoever's speaking.
Exactly. It's giving attention to.
Ah.
And so when we think about what we're giving our attention, it's keen inner listening. So listening to within. You are constantly being guided. Are you listening? So, one of the ways to listen to your inner self is to practice active listening. So whenever you get an aha, or you get a glimmer of something, listen to it, pay attention to it. If it tells you to go down this street, what do? Go down that street. If it tells you to call someone, what do? Call that person. The worst thing is to second guess. Have you ever had that feeling like, oh, I was going to do that,
Oh, yeah.
and you didn't? The next is to trust your intuition. And that kind of is what I've been talking about. Your intuition knows. Trust it. It knows better than you. And the next is to set aside time to reflect and listen. So what that means is take time to meditate. Walk out in nature. Listen. Stop talking. I remember when I entered this philosophy, Reverend E said, you know, as you embrace this philosophy more, you're going to talk less. And I realized that that was something that I was doing because someone would say something and I would feel like, ooh, I need to say something. And it's like, no, you don't. And then it would happen. Sometimes it would be like, oh my God, it's cold in here. I wish they'd turn on the heat. But I'm not going to say anything. And then all of a sudden they go and turn on the heat. So you don't always have to talk. Listen.
Amen.
So what I want to leave you with here is that you are great. You are powerful. You are great. You are powerful. You are great. You are powerful. Now it's your turn to say it. We're going to use I instead of you. And you're going to say it with power. Because why? Because you're powerful.
Yes.
And we're going to say, I am great.
I am great.
Well, I'm just telling you what you're going to say. Because if you're going to say it like you just said it, I don't want to hear it. And I'm sure your body doesn't want it. It's not going to be receptive to it. We're going to say, I am great. I am powerful. And we're going to say it 3 times. We're not going to rush it. We're going to be with it. And whatever stance you have to take to just feel the words, please do it. Ready? I am great. I am powerful. Woo. I am great. I am powerful. I am great. I am powerful. Woo! Yes.
So it is.
How does, yeah, and so it is. Yeah. So take that feeling with you. Rise. Go beyond the rainbow.
Whatever.
And so it is.
Woo! And so it is.
So it is.
Gosh, hey.
Thank you. So I have one little piece. This is life work. Now, you didn't think I was going
Homework.
to let you get away from the life work, right?
I knew you would.
You knew I wasn't.
Homework.
So we talked about beliefs. We've talked about, and some of our beliefs are hidden. Some of them are known. And in order for our life to be in balance, all the areas of our life need to be in kind of the same place because they impact each other. And so there's this little, Reba, can you just take one and pass it around? There is, I didn't come up with this, and Reverend Michael, this was actually in the outline for today. And what it talks about, I'll wait till everybody gets one. Can everybody see it in Zoom land?
Thank you.
So what this sheet is talking about is how balanced are you? And you can see in the circle, around the circle, there are all the different areas of our lives. And we want to be in balance in all of those areas. Okay? And so what you're going to do is you're going to look at all of these areas in your life. Okay? And you're going to decide how satisfied you are. 1 being not satisfied, 10 being, oh yeah, baby, I can teach a course in this. Okay? And then if you choose to, you don't have to color, but I think coloring is good. It makes us get back to being our childlike part of us. Color in the space where you are. And you can see the little numbers, there's 1 through 10.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And don't forget that, and don't worry for you guys in Zoom, I sent this to Reverend Michael so he can send it out. Okay, so you're going to color where you are. And then what you're going to do is you're going to notice what are as of your life. Oh, I think that's supposed to be areas. Okay, I'm like, or as, what does that mean?
Right.
What areas of your life would you benefit from extra attention?
Okay.
Okay? How balanced is your life? Are you satisfied in each of these aspects? And what are some of the next steps to support your growth and balance in your life? So this is some time to meditate. If there's a physical aspect, let's say you're at a 3. What can you do to push yourself up? Where can you go? How can you get that to a 10? Maybe it's eating more green foods. Maybe it's moving your body a little more. It could be whatever. So is everybody in?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. And so it is again.
I love your homework. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Reverend Michael,
Yo.
can you email me a copy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you want,
Because I
for
feel like this is something that you could
Absolutely.
As a self-reflection.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And to see, yeah, because it would be something really good if you do it at the end of every week or month. You can see how you're progressing. Are you becoming more balanced? Or, yeah, yeah,
Honest with yourself.
that's true, that's true. And then you can shift it. So if, for people on Zoom, if we don't have your email and you would like to get a copy, please just put it in the chat. If you're here in the